your body is medicine, man. Like our body produces all the things it needs for the most part. Obviously the nutrition is how we get the essential vitamins and amino acids and all that. But like we have, all the natural killer cells and the anti-inflammatory agents within us. We just have to foster that.
Welcome to the Full Fueled Podcast. Welcome to the Full Fueled Podcast. Welcome to the podcast. With your host, Matt Tack. With your host, Matt Tack.
Your host, Matt Tack.
Who are you?
I'm Dr. Alfred Alessi.
Dr. Alfred Alessi.
Dr. Alfred Alessi.
They know by now, bro. They know by now.
I'm going to set what the new normal looks like in my life.
You're not limited by your genetics.
You have a superpower that is lifting people up. I do. You
The only way we're going to get the word out is with you. Live full fueled. Live beyond limits, baby. Let's go.
Welcome to the Full Fueled Podcast with your host, Matt Tack.
Dr. Alessi. Back on.
Dr. Alfred Alessi.
It only let me put Dr. Alessi. I don't know why. It's like, was it long enough? So my first name doesn't matter anymore. What's up, buddy?
We're going to be doing these lives every other week. One of the big things that we were talking about in terms of overall purpose and living fulfilled lives, of understanding meaning and purpose in your life. I was just having a conversation with my wife about this the other day, our ability to dream, and kind of defining that purpose and how we need to dream and dream often. But I'm actually reading, and do I sound all right? Is my audio good?
You sound really good, man.
All right, good stuff. I'm actually reading some scripture in my devotional in terms of what defining our purpose or finding true purpose in life. And I think that I was just explaining it to you where we look at things like where we want things that are easy. And so we're seeing a level of abundance in our life. But then when things aren't is actually when we actually are truly finding our purpose. We're finding actually where we need to build the foundation or where that level of motivation comes from. It's not really in the seasons of abundance. Like we can find it in that too. I'm not saying you can't find it in that, but it usually is in seasons of trials, something a little bit more uncomfortable where you're identifying, man, that true purpose, right? That's going to layer you up and you're going to evolve. So I know you've been in the book of Genesis, and we were talking about that in terms of like the beginning, right? The beginning of you. Genesis is the culmination of the creation, right? But then it's also the creation of you and how you're interpreting it through yourself. So I've been in Genesis 1. I was reading Genesis 1:26 through 31 and Genesis 2:8 and Genesis 2:15 today, and I can read some of that. But it's really identifying, culminating just this identification of your true purpose, your true meaning in life, right? Are we just going day to day and navigating things moment to moment? Or do we have an established purpose? Do we have an identity? And the other thing that I think about this is also your identity can change too, right? You are not the same person you were 10 years ago. That's like what I appreciate about.
I hope so. Yeah.
the evolvement of like your knowledge base and who you are as an individual is that you are constantly transforming. So your identity actually does change. Like I don't wear things that I did probably 10 years ago, right? I wear different things. I have different look. I have different gene structures. And so it's the identity and the purpose of that. But then also, from just a faith principle, like where is your foundation held, right? And I think that's really important thing to think about. But what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think going back to what you said at the beginning, like your purpose should be so deeply rooted in you that, it doesn't fluctuate just when you're having a good month of finance or where you're having a good month in your marriage. It shouldn't be like, oh, like my purpose is here. It's like, no, you have a sole purpose, right? There's this term in the Japanese culture, and I was actually just looking this up because it's really cool. It's called Ikigai, and it's a Japanese term that refers to a reason for living or something that gives a person a sense of purpose, right? And so there's this image that I'll see if it can show, but it's basically like a Venn diagram, which is like the 3 rings, and I can even attach it to this episode, but it's 4 rings. And the 4 rings are what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. And where those 4 culminate in the middle is Ikigai, or your purpose, right? And so, you can break it down even deeper, is like, the combination of what you love and what you're good at, that's your passion. The combination of what you love and what the world needs, that's your mission. The combination of what the world needs and what you can be paid for is your vocation. And then the combination of what you can be paid for and what you're good at is your profession, right? And now where those 4 things then further culminate into the middle is your purpose, right? So it's a really cool little chart. Let me see if it even kind of pulls up here, but
oh yeah,
it's pretty cool, man. Yeah. And so, I think that's helpful for people if they're like kind of lost, or, they're like, well, really, what is my purpose? I'm good at this and I like to do that. And, obviously the world, people need to be served, but like where does that all come together? So I think it's a really like tangible way that people can figure that out. It's funny. Yeah. You're talking about the book of Genesis. I'm reading through kind of like a daily, like, it's almost like a daily insight that takes you through this book, but it got into like the lineages and, essentially these dudes are like at the very beginning of time, their whole purpose was to just like create more human beings. Like I'm like reading through it. It's like everyone's sleeping with everyone, and this guy's sleeping with this guy's wife, and it's his dad. It's kind of weird, and you're like, what's going on here? But that was their purpose, was like, spread the nation, or grow the nation.
Spread the seed, man.
Spread the seeds, man. Yeah.
That is something, I mean, that I was even talking to you about that was really interesting. I was reading something, it was not too long ago. I think it was a few months ago. But it was this idea of, the polygamous nature that like we foresee the world like as it currently is. But like that's been a struggle since even the Old Testament, right? So we were talking about some like biblical figures that even struggled with this, like the polygamous nature of like the human being, of like being a man, right? And so those are some of the things that naturally David, Solomon, all these guys, right? They like, that's ultimately how the reproduction and how like this world and the population grew. But at the same time, it's like that was a struggle, and it's a struggle for every man. I don't care. Who you are. Like if you are a man that's attracted to a woman, that's naturally just going to be an instinctual struggle as a man, and lust. But one thing that I read today that I thought was really good is God created us for his glory, but he also planted a garden and put Adam in it to cultivate and maintain it. Additionally, Adam and Eve were subdued to rule over the earth. Cultivate, this is what I love. And if you're listening to this podcast, it's probably something you might even want to write down. But cultivate means to foster growth and to improve. To maintain means to preserve from failure or decline, right? To subdue means to exercise control and discipline. And rule over means to administer, take responsibility for, and make decisions. One of the things that was pronounced there was cultivating. Cultivating means to foster growth and to improve. That's one thing in Full Fueled. We want to take the objective of like, how are you cultivating, meaning fostering growth, not only in your mindset and to improve, but in your body, right? We believe in this idea of move your body, move your mind. And how are you fostering that as like a temple? Like treating your body as a temple. And so that really hit me in terms of, my identity is in like growth. Like I want to grow. But part of that process is to look good. You know what I mean? Like to foster and cultivate and improve my body, because God's given me this temple, and this is like the only temple he's going to give me. And how the world has like kind of misdirected and misskewed that as like, oh, we don't need to protect and preserve that. And I just think that hit home for me in terms of like the genesis of me is, man, I got to protect and preserve. I also got to maintain. And then I got to subdue. I got to control discipline. I got to exercise control.
Yeah. And I think, deeper than the looks aspect. And honestly, man, I think if someone says, "Oh, I don't really care how I look," I think they're lying to themselves, you know? Like everyone does. And doesn't mean you have to be vain or you have to be, you know, so focused on perfection, but yeah, everyone does care a bit about their image, right? It's important because how you portray yourself is you know, everything. How you come into a room, how you're looking, if you're sloppy. We talked about this a lot in the past, but then it's more than that. Like for you and I, it's like if I'm fit and healthy into my older age, then when my kids have kids, I can play with my grandkids and be running. How about that dude we saw at the gym yesterday who was 80, looked like he was 55 or something. And this guy's like, I just keep doing it. I've been doing the same thing forever. I'm like, that's how you do it, man. It's like, just don't stop, you know? But he like pulled up his shirt and dude had like moderately visible abs at like almost 80 years old. I was like, whoa, good for you, bro. And so it's like, you know, obviously like the image is one thing and not getting wrapped up in that as like who you are. Your image is not your identity, but like what you do with that, right? Like how can you use that as like a driving force, right? You look good, you're going to feel better, you're going to have more confidence, you're going to probably want to pursue things a little bit harder. It's just going to leverage you to be a little bit more successful versus, you know, I mean, look at a lot of successful people tend to be in shape. And that's because they have discipline, they have routine, they just have that it factor, right? Of like, hey, this is what I do, this is how I operate in all areas. It's all dialed in.
Yeah, I think there's a close line in terms of like separation. I do believe actually how you hold yourself, your body is an image of identity, right? Regardless, because your identity is something that you don't have to say a word. I'm going to look at you and then I'm going to profile you based off of that, right? And so like that is an identity, whether we realize it or not, right? It's an identity. I don't have to say anything, but I am going to profile you, and everyone does it. The reality is like if I look at somebody, I'm going to get a good gauge on terms of the level of discipline that that individual has, right? In one area or another. And so there's this idea, and I go on because there was another paragraph that hit home to me, is whatever we do should be to God's glory. The term glorify means to give an accurate representation while recognizing the supreme excellence that is actually true, right? And that doesn't mean I am saying anything. That's a representation of who I am. And so how am I holding myself to that standard? Well, is it a level of supreme excellence? And that's the way I look at it. It's not yet like, am I posting stuff with my shirt off, working out, doing these things? But these are part of the reasons of why we also have these like podcasts, is to show the purpose of that. That's just not, that is part of my identity, but it's not part of my purpose. And so I think there's a separation between those, because we actually do need to hold ourselves to a level of identity where somebody's able to perceive, hey, I'm looking at Dr. Alessi. He is a man of authority, that I'm giving him control over my health. When you walked into the office, if you were 70, 80 pounds overweight and you looked disheveled and you were smoking a cigarette, and then you came in and you smelled like smoke, and then I'm going to be asking you for health advice. Like, there are actually a lot of doctors out there that are like smoke, that have extremely high stress jobs, that don't take care of themselves. And we go, I'm going to take medical advice from you. And I think that's really what that says. And that's what it comes down to, is like, I actually want to be an accurate representation while recognizing the supreme excellence that is actually true. Right. And so then it gives authority. Like I want to go to somebody that has that level of authority that says, okay, yeah, I can take health advice from him.
And the authority thing comes down to trust, right? Like you're in the gym working out and you have your shirt off, whatever, or you're just looking good. Someone comes up to you, man, what do you do? They start asking questions. Hey, we actually coach guys on how to get fit. We have this program, blah, blah, blah. They're like, okay, obviously this guy knows what he's talking about, right? You know, it's like the same reason, like if you went to a financial advisor and they're dressed sharply and they've got a nice suit on and you're like, okay, this guy's obviously well put together. He must have a good sense of how this thing works. And, somebody it's weird, man, because I do know a lot of doctors in more of like the medical realm, like some orthopedists and stuff, and they're just such heavy drinkers. These guys drink so much. I'm like what kind of, it's just a skewed like reality of like what health is, I think. And this is a whole different conversation, obviously, of what healthcare really looks like. But, you know, your body is medicine, man. Like our body produces all the things it needs for the most part. Obviously, the nutrition is how we get the essential vitamins and amino acids and all that. But like we have, you know, all the natural killer cells and the anti-inflammatory agents within us. We just have to foster that. But like our bodies are meant to heal themselves. They're meant to do all the work if we take care of them. You know what I mean? And it's when illness sets in is obviously when, you know, we're not doing that. But you know, medicine is a made up thing realistically. Like all medicine or like pharmaceutical medicines come from the idea of something that was found in nature, right? It's not like they just like, oh, let's think of this. It's like, no, someone in the past used a natural substance to get said result. Now, how do we chemically like mimic that, make it for real cheap, sell it for real expensive, right? It's like everything that you can get medical, like medicine wise, can also be found on a natural state as well. That's, you know, my thought on that.
Yeah. And we had a previous podcast on that in terms of like personalized medicine and actually what personalized medicine look like. That was our previous podcast. So if you want to check that out. Also, just to let you know, this Full Field show is brought to you by our Optimizers program. If you're a guy that's struggling, you're typically over 30, and you're like, look, man, I need to get dialed in. We got you. And we get you dialed in. We're going to basically take you through step A through Z and how to get you fully optimized. So if you want to reach out, you can check us out at fitness.fullfield.com, and you can check out our programs, reach out to us, and we'll be happy to hop on a call with you. So this idea, though, I like the of coming back to that, though, of what you're talking about specifically about medicine is that it is like, if we don't do our due diligence, an accurate representation while recognizing the supreme excellence. I like the idea of supreme excellence because, like, aren't we trying to get better every day? Like, if we are literally not trying to get better every day in terms of some level of growth, you know, I always go back to the like analogy of what would my 85-year-old self thank me that I did today? And yeah, of course, like, you know, so many times networking events are associated around drinking and, hey, come to a happy hour, these things. It's not health focused or like conscious.
Well, not happy, bro.
It's not happy.
No one there is happy.
They're trying to get happy through the spirits, right? They're the demonic spirits, we call them. But supreme excellence, and then that level of supreme excellence is how I'm actually giving glory to God. And so I truly believe that we just lose focus so much on what our genesis is. Like you're in the book of Genesis reading like that. What is our genesis of life? We have our now weight loss program at Alessi Functional Health, and it's the Genesis protocol. And so like, that's the beginning of you. And I think that like, no matter the stage in life, you can create your own new genesis through that and then be an accurate representation.
Yeah. And I mean, if you take it down to even a micro level, that's actually kind of spurred a thought is like, it should just be like the way you start your day. The genesis of every day is like, you know, you're waking up intentionally or you flying. And I used to do this, right? And it was a miserable way of living, but are you flying out of bed, like last minute, getting ready and just running to work and, you know, throwing stuff together? Or are you waking up intentionally setting some kind of like goal or expectation for yourself that day? With your health, are you being preventative about stuff? It's like, hey, I'd rather prevent something from happening, right? Versus like having to react and then rely on someone else, right? What is the genesis of your health? And it comes down to like what we do put into our bodies every single day.
Yeah, that's good. This goes on with saying I got a lot out of my quiet time this morning.
Keep going, man. I love it.
This author had made another small paragraph about God made each of us as unique and treasured creations made in his image. And he shows us that his work is not only to benefit the worker, but others. And so he also shows us the work in any form is a gift from God, and he equips his people for their work. So when we're thinking about this, like optimized health and what that full fueled and that purpose looks like, is that whatever we're doing, we're actually not doing it with the intention of like just me personally, even though this is going to help me, but it's also going to help other people. And I think you had even mentioned that before we even hopped on this podcast. It's like your purpose should never be so inward focused. Like, of course you want to look good. I have this like a mentality of every day, like look good, feel good, play good. Right. So I want to make sure I'm looking good to feel good so that I can play good. But what is the purpose of that? And then it's also to hold other people accountable. I mean, there's been countless of people that aren't even in our program that said, hey, thanks for posting that. Thanks for almost like holding me accountable, because your work is not, the intention of like your work is not just for yourself. It's for other people. And then feed into that, because I know that you were mentioning something about that, like defining that level of purpose, right? Not being just for you.
Yeah, of course. Like part of that whole diagram I just was talking about is like, what does the world need? That's a whole corner of it, right? Is like, what does the world need, man? And it doesn't need a bunch of people that are just so focused on themselves. Service is at the heart of what you and I are doing. If we can take a guy who's underperforming in his business or his life, right? So maybe his family's having problems. Maybe his business is having issues. He's not able to serve his clients or patients, whatever he does. And we can optimize his health. He's going to just be a better overall person to be able to then go help other people. Right. And it's like, if you're not 100%, how can you show up for others? So that's where it kind of dials back, is your purpose always has to be in some aspect, not about you. Right. But to get there, you do have to focus on you, and you have to make sure that you are in a state that of health, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, that then you can serve others and be excellent at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Well, as we conclude this episode, I know that there are some people definitely trying to find a purpose right now in their lives. So I would encourage you.
I'm going to show it again. I would tell everyone to just go do something like this and just get it out on paper, man, or like write it down. Like where are you, right? Like, what is the culmination of this stuff? And if you can dial those things in, you're going to get a lot more, closer to where you need to be.
I would encourage that, and then supplement that too. So I think writing it down is a crucial thing. I always recommend that guys specifically get a journal. So like when you have a journal that's just only dedicated to your thoughts, as you're in this like kind of meditative state. I wake up every morning and I get into the Word. I do use the Bible app. So if you aren't familiar with it, you can just go on your app store, download the Bible app. They got a lot of great just programs that you can dial that in for anywhere from 2 days to 5 days to 30 days. I like keeping them short, anywhere from between 5 to 7. And then I find new plans. But download the Bible app. I think it's a great, useful tool. I know that you just you bought a Bible that you're getting a lot out of right now too, when you're going into some quiet time and abiding study in the morning. What is that?
It's here, the Men's Daily Bible. It's really cool, man. It's a Christian Standard Bible, but you go a couple pages of essentially some scripture, and then there's a like insight for the day based on what you just read. So, it's there's an author to this. So a guy kind of going through some of his story a bit, and he kind of tells stories to use to kind of relate. But it's really cool, man, because it's, I think I get lost sometimes when I'm just reading especially the Old Testament. You're just reading and you're like, all right, what is even happening here? This is so unrelatable. So having someone who's, well versed in this to relate it back to kind of modern times, right? What we're dealing with is so different than what those guys were dealing with. This guy's like, hey, I'll give you this camel for 4 of your wives. I'm like, I don't even know how to bring my life to that. Right. But it's like, he brings it all together and makes it make a lot more sense. So for me, it's super helpful. I like it a lot. It's been good.
I think that's huge. For guys that really have invested a lot of time, and then to kind of narrate the story for you is huge.
Yeah,
so
man.
Check that out. I do want to end this episode with thank you for to Nutrition Solutions. As always, go check them out. It's the perfect way to optimize your day-to-day to really track your macros. So you need to check them out. You can, with discount code FullFueled15, you can get some optimized meals directly shipped to your door on ice. And they've been a huge benefit to us.
You get a free protein donut with each week. It's amazing. I love them.
Those high protein meals and those protein donuts are next level. And then, as always, LESI Functional Health. If you're here in Tampa Bay, you want to check it out. Get to a pain-free future. We do everything from chiropractic, total body wellness, and we have some infrared and cold plunge to just make your life thrive and get fully optimized. So check us out at alessifxhealth.com. Book your appointment today. And that's what we got on the Full Fueled podcast. We'll see you as always. Live full fueled. Live beyond limits, baby.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Full Fueled podcast.
I'm going to set what the new normal looks like in my life.
You're not limited by your genetics.
You have a superpower that is lifting people up.
So unfortunately, most businesses aren't going to use the highest quality ingredients.
What's your approach?
He's jacked.
I know he's jacked. That's why I'm asking him.
I don't think he lifts.
It's consistency in everything that we do that really compounds. Only way we're going to get the word out is with you. Live full fueled, live beyond limits, baby.